So instead of just stubbing the club, make sure you're following through a little bit more. Does that make a little bit of sense? Good. Oh, just caught a little fin that time. Now, do you know why chipping is so important? Like I said a little bit earlier at the beginning of this lesson.
You said to get closer to the hole?
Get closer to the hole. So remember how I talked about greens and regulations and whatnot?
Yeah.
So basically one way to think of it is your chip is basically our first putt. Now the objective of the first putt usually isn't to make it, it's just to get as close to the hole as possible, just so our second putt isn't super fun. Now you can take that mindset to the chipping game. Instead of chipping this ball and think like, oh, I'm going to drain this, like, what would you say, 40-yard chip? I'm just going to get it as close to the hole as possible. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just think of it like that. Go ahead and get set up again. Let's try going to the short pin right here. A little bit smaller swing. And just focus on getting it a little bit closer. Good. Now you're still stubbing it a little bit one way. You know why it's just shooting out like that? It's because you're not falling through. So if you'd like to stand over here with me, basically, if you're ever out here practicing and you hit a couple like that and you just blast it by, that's because we're just, see how I'm stopping, my swing is essentially stopping right there. So one way to think of it is just do a nice, easy swing. Does that make sense? And see how like a nice follow through right there? See how it popped up nice and easy? Just like that. So every time you get that nice little pop up, that means you have a nice easy swing and you actually follow through. If we have one of these, either hit it twice or it just shoots out like that, then you know you just stubbed it. And that's one way to tell. Looking at the way the ball's shooting out and what the way the ball shoots out is what your club is doing. And that's one easy way to tell. Does that make sense? Yeah. Very good. That first putt that time, you missed it off to the right, right? Mm-hmm. And then on that second putt, you did manipulate the club face a little bit, but it did go a little bit more left, right? Yeah. And that's good because that's basically mental learning, whereas in I missed right, I need to go a little bit more left, if that makes sense. So one important thing about golf is we have to learn from every single shot that we take. So if you'd like to stand on this side for me. Okay. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's just basically this is one way to enhance your game over time to become a better golfer. So if I make this putt and it goes off to the right, just next time if I play this course or whatnot, I know if I'm on this side of the hole and the pin's right there, it's going to break off to the right, if that makes sense. Now what that tells you is a couple of things. Do you know what the high and low side of the cup is? No? So basically, whenever there's a breaking putt, so this putt is going left to right, correct? So there's always going to be a high side and a low side. So the reason why this putt goes off to the right is because we're on a hill slope this side, right? It's sloping down. So essentially, the high side of the hill is on this point, the low side of the hill is on this point of the cup. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yeah, it does.
Perfect. So on a putt like this, what I want you to focus on is you always want to hit on a breaking putt. You always want to hit it on the high side. And do you know why that is?
No, why?
It's basically, if I take this ball and roll it, we know it's going to go off to the right, correct?
Yeah.
See how if this ball curves off to the right, it never has a chance of going in? Whereas if it comes in this way, it has a chance to curve into the hole, whether it be right in, off to the side, or actually through the back. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yeah, it does.
So, especially with breaking putts, every single time, let's say if I hit one off to the right, I know I want to go on the high side. Another thing that using that little technique is, let's say pre-putt, if I'm putting and I know it's going off to the right, I know I need to aim a little bit more left because I want to go on the high side. Does that make sense? And that's just one way